Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome back in to another edition of Astros Recap. Um, More accurately, good morning, as it's officially 12:05 a.m. It is now finally day one of the ALDS. Getting excited here. Obviously, I'm gonna go to bed here in a few hours. We'll see. I was gonna do this tomorrow, but I wanted to actually get this out and released sometime in the next few hours to give my viewers a chance to sort of watch this before we start game one. Obviously, Astros play in the afternoon, 2:30 start, so I didn't want to be crunched for time tomorrow. I know it's late. I usually wouldn't get on this late, but I did want to get this out to the audience before tomorrow, basically, before people wake up. So anyway, that's why I'm on when I am. It is late, so we'll get right to things. Now, usually on my podcast here, I stick to an Astros sort of talk. I talk Astros baseball. Today, I'm actually going to shift gears a little bit, not too much. We'll talk Astros, but we're going to talk about the entire playoff sort of outlook here as the division series start here. Astros playing in 14 hours. So, my predictions for the wild card round did not go as expected. Before I actually jump in a little further, there's a fan to my right, like on the ground right here. So if you hear background noise, it's just a fan. It does get hot in this room, and I have to turn off the fan over here before I do these podcasts because if that's going, it can be distracting, which I've mentioned in the past. So, fan here, but also what I actually stopped to say was I didn't want to get on after the Astros played a few games and then sort of, because we know, those that watch baseball know who's won at this point in the wild card round. I don't want to get on and sort of go through that. I wanted to sort of set the stage and then sort of be able just to jump right into the two games that the Astros have played, because my initial plan right now is to get on Friday, and if that is the case, the Astros, weird that they have an off day Wednesday and an off day Friday, and they played 3 straight games, but that's just how it is for now. So anyway, the Mariners, that's who the Astros matchup will be. That was not my prediction. I did not do very well in my picks for the wildcard round. In fact, the only series I got right was the Guardians beating the Rays. Also, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, I guess the Mets and the Padres, that was the only series I went to 3 games, so give the Mariners credit. We'll touch on them in a little bit. But, yeah, the Mariners beat the Blue Jays. Guardians beat the Rays. The Phillies beat the Cardinals. Didn't expect that. And the Mets did. No, wait. I'm sorry. The Padres beat the Mets. So, yeah, what a total just collapse by the Mets. But we'll start American League. So I expected the Guardians to beat the Rays. The Rays were a good team, wild card team. Not amazing team, but good enough. Obviously, the Rays, you look at them last year, they had the best record in the American League. They won 100 games, only team to win 100 games. But yes, they faced the Red Sox, who beat the Yankees in the wild card game, and they lost in 4. So the Rays' season, although going in with home field advantage and, best record, didn't help them a whole lot. So I just laughed because the Astros are in that position this year. So I think it's kind of funny. So, but yeah, the Guardians will play the Yankees, and I think that's an interesting series. Yankees sort of coasted into the postseason. They didn't really play their best baseball. Obviously, they really struggled there for a good portion of the second half. Couldn't win games. I mean, they started to win, but they still have a lot of issues. Bullpen injury-wise, I mean, Garrett Cole's no ace for him. Nestor Cortez is probably better than Garrett Cole. But they don't have a guy that you look at and say, that's our ace. He won 20 games. He's got an ERA. I mean, they don't really have that. Garrett Cole's going to be graded big, especially tomorrow. If he comes out and doesn't have a good start, I mean, Yankees fans can tell you better than me, all right? Listen, I haven't watched a lot of Yankees baseball, but the vibe around New York is they are not feeling great about Garrett Cole and what he's given them. Obviously, they paid $326 million, I think, for 10 years. And you expect him to be the guy you lean on. And I don't think he's been necessarily that. I think he was decent last year. Of course, the whole foreign substance policy, the cracking down on that, sort of messed with his psyche, as he was one of those that used spider tech, and that really messed him up, I think, mentally. Obviously, you could tell with his press conferences shortly after that, or when it was about to happen. And since that point, he really hasn't been but, an okay pitcher. But again, Yankees fans can tell you better than me, but I think this is big for him. Now it's playoff time, and the Yankees, obviously, for them, I mean, it's not enough just to get to the postseason. They got to win this thing, or it's a failure. At least get out of the first round. So I think the Guardians actually have a decent chance in this series. It would not shock me one bit if the Guardians win this series. So, I mean, Guardians, they're playing with house money at this point. Give them credit. I mean, they were not picked to go to the playoffs. Obviously, the White Sox just fell flat on their face this year, so it's a big reason for that. So the division wasn't necessarily tough, but the Guardians went into the playoffs. Would they win 8 straight games? Something. I'm curious to look at this. I wasn't going to pull up the phone, but yeah, I'm going to now. So if this loads, I feel like I never get good internet access in any of these rooms I try to do these podcasts in here. But yeah, the Guardians went in. They won 92 games this year. They won that division by 11 games, but they really, I feel like, are playing with house money at this point, because I think that works to their benefit, because you got the Yankees that are going to have an enormous amount of pressure on them, and you got the Guardians that have no pressure. And the Yankees, again, they coasted in the playoffs. They didn't really play good baseball at the end. They were 5-5. They lost their final 2 games. I mean, they were on pace to just win 115 games at one point. And they won 99. So yeah. But yeah, that's sort of my outlook. The Guardians deserve what they do well. Their starting pitching's good. Shane Bieber's there. Bieber's obviously a great pitcher. Tristan McKenzie, the Astros, can attest to that, is good. After that, I mean, they got Quantrill, I think, starting game 1 tomorrow. And then they'll go back to their start. So these wild card teams can't start their best starter, basically, unless they're going on a short rest, which they're not going to do at this point. So, but yeah, the Guardians, I mean, they get timely hitting. They can pitch well. But they deserve a lot of credit for being as good as they've been. Obviously, Jose Ramirez is sort of their, big player hitting-wise, I assume. But yeah, I mean, they get timely hitting and they can pitch, and yeah, so they play good defense, I assume. I haven't watched a lot of. I want to talk about these teams, but I kind of feel bad if I'm sort of, just coming out with stuff that I'm not 100% on when, if a Cleveland fan's watching, or, Seattle or whatever, if I'm not 100% on these teams. But you got to give the Guardians credit. Obviously Seattle, so I shift to the Astros series here. So Seattle, yes, they beat the Blue Jays. I was wrong. I thought the Blue Jays were the better team. Luis Castillo, their big trade deadline acquisition, has really sort of solidified the rotation. They have a true ace, or at least that's what he's been for them. Making the trade, or I don't know if it's a trade or a sign for Robbie Ray in the offseason, who won the Cy Young last year, was supposed to be that guy. And I don't think he never truly got to that point of being an ace this year. He is their second starter. We'll be facing Logan Gilbert tomorrow. So he's not their best. So I think it's important for the Astros to actually win tomorrow. They have their ace, obviously. Haven't played in, what has it been, 5 days? 5 days? 5 days now? So I'm hoping that doesn't really, get them out of any rhythm, possibly. Their workouts stayed fresh. Verlander obviously likes his 4 days off, so he's got a few more days to deal with. But our guys are rested. We're going to be ready to go. Again, same situation last year. They didn't have the long layoff that they did this year, but if you think about last year, they didn't have to wait, till it was a Friday. So, I mean, they had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days off still. So, I look at this, and the first game last year was on Friday, I want to say. Maybe it was Thursday. Probably was Thursday, actually. It said 3 days off. Anyway, but the Astros, winning the postseason, playing the White Sox, who were a good team last year, and it was kind of like, we feel good about our team, but, like, the White Sox are also very good. So how do you approach this? I mean, and the Astros just came out, and they basically flipped the switch. It was playoff time. It's time to go, go, go. And they came out, and I was proud of the Astros for that, because I didn't know if they could just flip a switch, basically. So we're hoping that that's sort of the same case this year. But having 5 days off is a little too much, if you ask me. But hopefully the Astros won't be in any sort of funk because of that scenario. As the Mariners obviously feel great about themselves, as they should, winning both games, shutting out the Blue Jays in Game 1, and then the offensive outburst in Game 2, where they were down 8-1, and then they came back, and the bats have been huge for them. So obviously the Rays have been good, or not the Rays, Mariners have been good. I had them making the playoffs going into this year, so that was one prediction I did get right as a wild card team. I think the whole 12-7 record throughout the year really is not even worth bringing up. I know teams do this when they play in the playoffs. It's always all right. So how'd they fare in the regular season? I think that has no bearing on what's going to happen here. I do think the Astros win. I'll pick them to win in 4. I think they got to win one of these two. Tomorrow I think is important. Like, it's a Game 1, obviously, but I just think it's important because they're throwing Logan Gilbert, who's their third best starter, I guess. The Astros have Verlander, their ace. And if you do not find a way to win tomorrow, your back's up against the wall. These 5-game series, you really don't have time to lose a game or two and feel good. But I do not want to go facing Castillo, if that is the case in Game 2, being down 1 game. I do not like that. So, yeah. You're at home. You should win these games. The Astros, obviously, just to talk about the regular season, although I don't think there's a whole lot of bearing. Remember, the Astros did not play the Mariners very well early on. We were 6-6 after 12 games. The Astros have done a good job of sort of putting the Mets back in their place. There are a few series, the obvious one after the All-Star break. That All-Star break did not do the Mariners any favors because they had won 14 straight going into that break. And then you had to take the 3-4 days off they had. But the Astros come to Seattle and sweep them in the 3-game set and sort of I won't say shut them up, but put them back in their place pretty easily. After they had sold out and they were, crazy about, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and try to, bash on the Mariners. I'm not that person. The Mariners deserve a lot of credit. They've done a great job. A lot of people think they have a legitimate chance in the series. The Astros can't go in there. I think the Astros are smart enough. They've got the experience to know that they can't take any team lightly. And the Mariners are playing good baseball. They're going to feel good about themselves. And they're sort of in the Guardians' boat in terms where they don't have a lot to lose. They haven't been to the playoffs in 21 years. And they very easily could have gone into that Toronto series just being happy to be back in the playoffs for the first time in, 2 decades. But they didn't do that. They went in there and they played good baseball, and they beat them. They beat Toronto. Toronto, who was the number 1 seed, at least in wild card terms. So, yeah, I mean, I respect the Mariners, but we're not going to fear them. I don't fear the Mariners, but respect what they've done, and now you got to go out there and prove you're the better team. And yes, tomorrow's Game 1, but I think I haven't looked at, I don't know if they've announced the entire pitching sides of everything here. I can check here. Yeah. But if they wanted Castillo on regular rest, he would go in Game 2. So, looking at the matchups tomorrow. So, yeah. I'll be watching playoff baseball basically all day tomorrow. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to it. It could be fun. But, yeah, I'm going to say the Astros can take this series in 4. I'll give the Mariners a win, but I think tomorrow is important. The Astros get things off on the right foot. So yes. As we shift gears, National League. This is going to be a long podcast, so I apologize for that. Quickly, Dodgers obviously have to face the Padres. I think all these series are going to be good. Like these wild card teams that won their series are feeling good about themselves, and they should. 3-game series, and aside from the Mets and Padres going to 3 games, the other three were sweeps. So the Phillies, I remember them celebrating in Houston on Monday, and I was like, well, congratulations, you go to the postseason. It's been a while, but I mean, do you really expect to do much? I don't know. That's just sort of a not a smart way of thinking about things, but give them credit as well. I'll say that to all these teams that won, but they beat the Cardinals pretty. I mean, they were down 2-0 in Game 1, had the big 6-run ninth inning, and then they took that momentum into Game 2, sort of, so to speak. But they got 2 starters that are also very good, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. I mean, riding them 2. I mean, that's a good 1-2 punch. So. Yeah, we talk about Cleveland. Obviously, the Shane Bieber, who's been hurt for the majority of the year, I think. I hadn't heard Bieber's name a whole lot, but he was ready to go and fantastic in Game 1. I mean, think about this. Like, I don't think I'd have to go back to Game 1. I don't think the Guardians gave up a single run. Or maybe they gave up 1 run. They gave up 1 run. A home run to Jose Siri was the only run they gave up that entire. I mean, the Game 2 went 15 innings, so when I say they pitch well, I think that's validated. Again, I can just go off what I know, but they play good defense, they pitch well, timely hitting for the Guardians. But Mariners obviously feel good. They have the race. After that, it's a little iffy on the pitching side. Obviously, bullpen-wise, I mean, they have some arms, Diego Castillo, Paul Sewald. Obviously, they have the soon-to-be Rookie of the Year, Julio Rodriguez. Ty France is a good hitter. We'll see. Adam Frazier. I'm trying to think here. We're going to the. Sometimes I forget. As Cal Raleigh. I don't know if Jared Kelenick's still there or not. But Eugenio Suarez and other guy in that deal from the Reds, was it Suarez? And they got somebody else. I can't think of him right now. Messing me up, but it's an outfielder, I think. I haven't named a lot. But yeah, I mean, Julio Rodriguez is that guy. He's got that swag. But he's gonna win. Yeah, he's gonna win Rookie of the Year easily. So and they have the race. They're back in. They got 2 pretty good guys when it comes to Castillo and Sewald. But I'm trying to think who else. Ty France and Rodriguez are the guys you look at. But Eugenio Suarez. But who's the other guy? There's 2 guys they got from Seattle or Cincinnati. But it wasn't Derek Dietrich. It was somebody else. Or was it Derek or Evan Dietrich, but he's not part of that. It was Suarez, and there was another guy I can't think of off the top of my mind. So, yeah. But, yeah. I know I sort of went back as I shifted to the National League, but I had to throw that in there. So, what was I talking about? I was talking about the Phillies. Phillies, yeah. Phillies will play the Braves. Obviously, Braves are going to be favored. They are playing good baseball. Be interesting to see all these teams that had the sort of the byes. Do any of them sort of falter at all in Game 1 or Game 2 because of the layoff? It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So, but yeah. Phillies deserve some credit. We'll see what they do. But yeah, they're 2 starters. Obviously, Bryce Harper missed a chunk of the year with the injury. But he's sort of their hitter there. Kyle Schwarber was huge for him. All the home runs he hit as a leadoff guy. a lot of these names are going to slip my mind, so forgive me if I can't think of, like, I just missed one of the, I'm going to look now because I have the ability to do that, and this whole Seattle thing is going to bother me if I don't find if I don't find this here, so this is going to bother me. I got to find who that other guy was. It was a Cincinnati deal. I don't know if they were trades or they were signings. Also, yeah, I forgot to mention the actual closer of the Mariners, Munoz, who's also very good. So you had Seawald and Diego Castillo in the mix. See, this is what's going to bother me tomorrow if I get into this. It's like I forgot this guy, and I forgot this guy, and this guy. So I probably should have done some research before I got on here. Mitch Haniger's still there. That's not the guy, though. J.P. Crawford, obviously. Suarez. Who's the guy? It's not Frazier. Carlos Santana. Dylan Moore. Did he not play in this game? Maybe not. Let's go back one more. See here. I don't know. Is that ringing a bell? I mean, it's not Adam Frazier. He was a deal at the deadline last year. But Suarez, there was somebody else. I mean, I see Kelnick in the lineup. I see Cal Raleigh. Mitch Haniger, obviously. Adam Frazier, J.P. Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Ty France. Carlos Santana. I don't know who it was, but there's another guy. Another guy I felt like that was also a Cincinnati product that came over along with Suarez. Maybe he's hurt, maybe he's not in the line, I don't know. But yeah, I forgot Munoz, the closer, who can throw 102 of these. So Astros might have they'll have their hands full, no doubt. So yeah. But I shift to the Phillies. The Phillies, Bryce Harper. I talked about Schwarber. Got those two starters that are good. Yeah, I don't want to pull up the phone, but I just feel like if I don't pull up the phone, it's going to hurt a little bit. Fight all these pitchers that I find out after the fact. So, Schwarber, Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, Harper, Nick Castellanos, Alec Boehm, Brennan Marsh added. Gene Segura had the big hit in Game 1 to give him the lead. So, yeah, look at the Phillies. They're strong. Go over to the Guardians side of things real quick. As I'm just going to I'm going to look at all this. So, talked about, obviously, Jose Ramirez anchoring the order. Is it Stephen Kwan? Yeah, Stephen Kwan, obviously. Ahmed Rosario. Make sure I'm right on that. Yeah, Ahmed Rosario. Oscar Gonzalez, but Josh Naylor, been a big hitter for him this year. I guess 256, 20 home runs, 79 RBIs. I know a lot of other players hitting-wise. Owen Miller, I don't know if he was an everyday starter. Jimenez. Andres Jimenez. Austin Hedges, their catcher. Miles Straw, obviously, we know him. Their pitching is really, because they didn't rip the cover off the ball, but I mean their pitching is yeah. I think I heard Chandler Rome, who works for the Chronicle, talk about the Guardians. The one time I've heard about them all year, after they clinched, talking about that they're a good team, a dangerous team. What they do well, they do well. Which might be pitching, bullpen, timely hits, good defense, all that good stuff. But yeah, the Phillies, Braves, I'll be interested in all these series. And then you got the Dodgers, obviously. The Dodgers face the Padres. The Dodgers have had the Padres number all year. Of course, they had the number of a lot of teams. They won 111 games, I want to say. I want to say it's correct, 111. 111-51. And they beat up the Padres pretty good. But again, a lot of these regular season numbers, throw them out the window. I don't think they play a huge part in any of this. So, but obviously the Dodgers stacked lineup. Pitching-wise will be interesting. No, Walker Buehler out for the year. That's not a non-story at this point. Obviously, Kershaw, Tyler Anderson, Jose Arias. We'll see how they do things, but the Padres obviously. We'll see, but Darvish obviously. Musgrove was incredibly good. There's one pitcher got hit around a little bit in game 2 for them. I'm way too far back here. We got hit around a little bit for the Padres in game 2. What? Blake Snell was not very good. Yeah, walked 6 guys. Didn't get very far. But yeah, Blake Snell, I got 3 guys. So these are going to be fun games. I'm real excited to watch the division series. Obviously, the Astros sort of, I'll be watching them in the afternoon. But all these series, I think they're good matchups. They're all good matchups. And these wildcard teams coming in with momentum. The momentum doesn't play a part. But, yeah, we'll see. I'm not going to jump too far. I didn't really talk about the Padres, obviously. Padres to the old Manny Machado, Juan Soto, Josh Bell. Think about the Padres, and they made the trade for Soto and traded away the entire farm to do it. So they are all in basically. They have pitching. They have hitters. Obviously, the Tatis news was big when it came down. Players weren't happy about it. Manny Machado is sort of the leader of that team because Clevenger, one of their pitchers, came out and badmouthed him a little bit after he got suspended. So, but yeah, I think all these series are interesting. So, the teams with the first round buys are favored in these series, but I'm sure we'll have some upsets. I just hope it's not at the Astros. Also have tickets. I bought tickets after I got off my last podcast for if there is a Game 5. I'm hoping there's not, but if there's a Game 5 on Monday, I will be at that game. So, but I'll be talking to you, obviously, in between games. I'm going to wait for 2 games to be played before I get on, and I'll break things down. Dusty Baker will be judged. Hopefully our pitchers are pitching well. We get timely hits, and we can do what we've been doing all year, and that's winning games and putting the Padres, making them humble, so to speak, again. But it'll be good. Again, I'm coming up on almost 30 minutes. I don't like to take too much of your time. Plus, it's 12:33 now. So this is officially my last regular season podcast. Everything going forward will be a postseason edition. So those that watch, Lee Greb, love you, man. But love to hear your comment section below. I'll get this out here in a matter, probably no more than an hour from now. So if you get up early, watch sort of your preview to the ALDS. I'll be excited. I need to get to bed here in a little bit, get some sleep, get up, be ready to go. But not super early start time, 2:30, got some time. So yeah, I want to get this out tonight, obviously, just because, again, if there's background noise, it's the fan. I know the mic, I need to get a new one at some point. Just haven't gotten around to it, but the mic sometimes comes and goes with the sound quality, so apologize for all that. But all that good stuff there is to do on YouTube. Share with your friends. Smash that like button. Leave comments. Love to hear it all. And I will talk to you. We're shooting for Friday, so that'll be the goal, the off day on Friday. So we'll see you then.